Welcome to the Z Files. You're Zooming with Ellie Crystal from crystallinks.com. Today, I wanted to talk to you about something that's probably affecting everybody you know, or even yourself, called it's post-COVID, and it's called the tired pandemic. COVID started roughly 15 months ago. Now we learned that it probably started earlier, and it is still continuing, but due to the vaccines and people taking care, things are opening up, getting better. The cities are opening up. So now people are coming out and they want to experience something, but no matter what it is, there's dramas. There's dramas like they never saw before. There's simple things like eating out in restaurants, walking or driving down the streets. I live in New York City. The restaurants used to be, sometimes they were outdoors, a few tables, and that was it. You could walk on the sidewalk, you could drive your car, all of that. Now, because they want to build back New York City and other cities, the restaurants have these little house things that literally are on not just the sidewalk, so you can just about squeeze through, but they're also in the gutters. And they're well-constructed buildings too, with little shades that go up and down, depending how fancy they wanted to make them. But they block the streets. And that has become a problem. And people just don't know what to do with that because you can't drive through. I saw one day where I live on 4th Avenue, it's a main street where the restaurant is in the parking spaces. So people park on the side of the restaurants, leaving one lane in either direction. And cars stop, they stop at the light, but then an ambulance was trying to get down and it couldn't go anywhere because there was nowhere for the traffic to go. So it's frustrations, it's adjustments, it's people getting annoyed. If we're talking transportation in New York City, transportation on subways and buses has become very difficult. Subways are not safe. We got the homeless, we got people coming onto the subways, smoking a joint, smoking a cigarette, doing whatever they want to do, taking things from people, touching things they shouldn't touch on people. And it's gotten worse. I mean, did these things happen before? Yes, but not where people don't care. If you ask them, why are you doing this? They'll just tell you, so what if I get arrested? I've been arrested before, they let me out in the day, who cares? People just don't care. Part of this tired pandemic is people don't care what's going on with anything anymore. I can't understand it to this level, but I see it everywhere. It's part of being burned out. COVID has left people, especially those who have it, with anxiety, depression, and an inability to think and make decisions and make plans and do a lot of the things successfully that they did before. They just can't do it. It's this feeling of there's no purpose to it. There's no purpose to anything. And, some of them do healing and energy work, some do meditation, some do yoga, some see therapists. Wow, are they seeing therapists? And you can see a therapist online. You don't have to go visit a therapist on his or her office. They're doing things to heal themselves, but they really don't want to work anymore. Unemployment is still out there. This Biden administration has been very generous in helping people who have depression, mental health issues, and just generally can't work. Parents have been home with children. Some of them have enjoyed it, some of them haven't, but they just got used to not having commute. They didn't realize how badly commuting, whether it's by train or bus or car or however you do it, it just saps you. It just takes your energy away. And that makes you tired. Part of feeling tired in the body is lower back. Lower back's hurting. This is hurting. Shoulders, neck. It's all bothering me. It's a feeling of, I just, my whole body is bothering me. It hurts, it aches, whatever. You probably are experiencing some of that. Then there are people who cannot sleep the way they used to before, because basically they're not working as hard as they did before, or their relationships have ended due to COVID, or any number of things, they think, well, what am I going to do? A lot of people have lost their homes. They're homeless. They're living in cars. There's all kinds of shows on TV about this. So that's another issue. It makes people, when people can't function, when they can't have some pleasures in life, when they can't feel and give love to anything or anybody, it's hopeless. And that's part of the tired pandemic. They just get tired. They just sit back and they just say, I don't want to do anything anymore. I just am burnt out. We find all kinds of situations, of course, because I live in a big city. So we find this here. Um, and it's just amazing. I just see people walking down the street half the time. They look like zombies. They're just walking along either to their car or whatever their destination is, and they're just going. And it's like, anybody home? That's depression. That means you really should see a therapist, which people are doing, and you really should be on some sort of an antidepressant, something that helps you. I mean, people are doing this with weed, of course. They're doing this, however they want to do it. But it's just, what is the patterns you think to yourself? I'm tired, I'm burnt out. So what am I supposed to do? Go back to the old pattern. I'll learn a healing modality. I'll write a book. I'll do a YouTube, and I'll heal and help myself by healing and helping others. That's been around for a long time. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I won't. I need to do something that makes sense, because life just doesn't make sense anymore. My children, I can't relate to my children. They're a different generation. The Z generation, and Z didn't make them. So they're called Z generation anyway, because I think that's because they're a generation that is, the end, the last of what's coming up, because we live in a simulated reality, and it is reaching its end. And part of that is this feeling, not only of being tired, but when you're tired, you're cranky. And when you're cranky, all you want to do is fight. You want to go online, somebody writes, so and so is a great actress, great performance. You want to write snarky things. All you want to do is say something nasty about that person. Social media has become about fighting and arguing. And I took a year off from doing YouTubes. I continued my daily blog, but last year was a rough year with, do you like Trump? Are you going to vote for him or don't you? And then he wasn't elected, but he said he was. And all of this, that still continues on. Somebody told me that Trump thinks he's going to be president in August. I don't know. I don't follow politics because I think it's all conspiratorial. I don't follow most things that most people do because they simply don't make sense to me. I believe we live in the simulated reality. We've lived through all kinds of experiences. It's multidimensional, there's parallel reality. Some people say it's past lives, future lives, this life, that you could be living in that body now that you're in as whoever, Ellie. And yet another part of my soul could be over in Europe somewhere, having a totally different experience, perhaps in a male body or whatever. Maybe you think, well, you try to pass things off like, well, maybe that guy who I am in Europe by a different name who I'll never meet, most likely, maybe he's tired and that's why I'm feeling tired. And then you start to overthink. Am I tired because of this? Do I have to heal because somewhere in another lifetime, when I was in another war and I killed a lot of people, I did nasty things, and therefore now I have to pay? Don't overthink it. Don't rationalize it. Just go to your genetic code. Was my mother, father, and sets of grandparents, were they mentally unstable? Aha. Were they alcoholics? Did they abuse drugs? Did they abuse people? Whatever they did, that in some way explains things, okay? Because everything you do in this lifetime is programmed within the simulation, and it all comes through your genetic codes, that DNA stuff. Okay, so now we get back to, we had a physical pandemic. I had predicted there would be an end time pandemic. It's not over. You may think it's over. COVID itself is done. But then we all know that there are the variants. Okay, so We have those going on in variants of the variants. I think it's called Delta and now Delta Plus, and they can name it anything they want to name it. Some are going away faster, some not. But these are going to continue right to the end of the simulation, where everything that ever was or ever existed in the entire simulation or universe or whatever you call it, okay, all of that is just going to fade to black, like boom, over and done. Your soul knows it. Your soul is encoded with this information. All of the healing and all of the energy work, I'm going to meditate and see if Ellie's right. All of that is for you to figure out that, yeah, she's right. We do live in a simulation. I'm tired because I'm tired of this journey within the simulation, and something tells me it's going to end. There are days you may want to fight a little harder for whatever your belief system is. There are other days you may feel so depressed, you're just going to lay there in bed and say, I'm not doing anything. I don't want to do anything. This is your life and your experience and your call. I've written about this as being burned out, because that is huge, that people are so burned out, confused, lost. And then there's that intuitive sense of it's all going to end. I mean, when I watch people in countries where there have been big earthquakes or recently volcanic eruptions that have changed the landscape of their lives forever, when it happens, they go running out into the street and they go, the world is ending. Remember how you read about people saying, yep, the world is ending? Well, it's not the world that's ending, it's a simulation that's ending. It's, well, this planet is only going to be sustainable just so long we have the heat and the wildfires and the climate change and the, you know, all the rest of it, the natural disasters, that's all escalating. And a lot of questions with that. So we have physical changes, geophysical changes, political changes, economic change, everything's changing. And intuitively, for more and more people who understand what I'm talking about, it's like, yeah, it is all going somewhere. Okay. It's the somewhere is it all fades to black. If you're metaphysical, you say, yeah, well, what's going to go on now is we're going to go to ascension. We're going to ascend from this physical reality to fourth, fifth, say, I don't know, whatever, you name it. Okay. But that's not really true. That's just something metaphysical people say. We are not ascending from here. You can pray your brains out, you can meditate, you can do everything you need to do. We are not going from this reality. And even if we did, okay, I'm Ellie Crystal in this reality. Okay, so that's me. This is who I am. If I go into this whole love and light and I'm aware of everything that's going on and all of this, I'm not going to be Ellie Crystal anymore. You can't take your physical signature, meaning your name and your identity, from this reality into light. Because when you're in light, you're in light, and there is none of that. You're in the grids. Everything is comprised of grids, but that's a blog for another day. And you can't do that. So while you're here, your intuition, and if you want to meditate on it, you want to check it out, do whatever. If your intuition is telling you that you're suffering from the tired pandemic, as I called it in the blog, and you're feeling lost, confused, and not knowing how you're going to get yourself back to where you're supposed to be, then the only thing I can tell you is remember that you're told we're evolving. We are evolving from physical back to non-physical, because souls are not physical, and we came from some sort of a source, okay, through the millennia, through whatever you wanted. This is your language, okay? Reality is evolving out of existence. And the bottom line is no one or nothing or no system or no people are going to change that. Whatever is programmed to happen in this simulation has always happened. It's happening again. We're running out of time. Time is the illusion, you know, that we live in simulated time. When people ask me, so what's the date? I go, time is an illusion, so there is no date, but there is an end. and it's coming. You have to feel it. You have to watch what's going on with the geophysical planet, people's emotions. You probably say people are crazy and insane and all of that. And you're probably right. They're just getting more so and more angry and more wanting to go into social media and fight with somebody about something and take political sides and do things that just don't make sense. It's like we're regressing back. But in essence, even if we're regressing back, we're still getting to that point where we are, picture the Fibonacci spiral, we are evolving back into that center, and when it fades to black, up and out we go. So all I can say is we're in the tired pandemic. You're going to notice it with others. Don't look to do battle with other people. Don't look to, I don't know, argue with them, or if you're doing something that's stupid, do what we do in New York, walk on by. You want to call a cop, you want to call somebody. I mean, if you see somebody being hurt by somebody else, then by all means, go to the rescue if you can. I don't suggest women do that because people are so crazy, they'll cut you or they'll shoot you or they'll do something else. And you don't have to live in a city for this. Anywhere you go, you know what's happening with mass shootings. You know what's happening with the insanity level. Just remember, this is all part of end times. You're here to experience end times, whether they make sense or not. That's why your soul is here. It came in for this ridiculous journey. It's called the human experiment, and so be it. And on that note, if you're tired, understand why. If you need professional help, you can see a therapist, you can go on medication, you can do whatever physically you need to do to lower your blood pressure, to relieve some of the anxiety. It's there. It's part of everybody's experience, or not everybody, most people's. I don't know. I don't think I've ever had an anxiety-ridden day, but I've experienced it through my clients. When I read my clients, I do a body scan of them. And when they have anxiety, I feel this like little panic thing and I'm like, oh my God, is that what anxiety is? But maybe I'm just lucky. But look, we came from a source. Okay, we spiraled down. We came into this experiment. We're here. We're stuck here for a while more. Look and watch what's going on in the world, and then you will know how close we are to the end. And that's it. So we went from the COVID pandemic to now a tired pandemic or burned out pandemic. Do with it the best you can, because life is not easy. And I don't think it's going to get much easier, not when I see what's going on in the world. Okay, thank you for listening.